Hello and welcome back to another episode of Best Bets. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary. I'm joined, as always, by Newsday's NFL pick columnist, Joe Manniello. Joe, how are you?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I was just telling you when we got started here, Divisional Round, always my favorite weekend of football. Should be 4 excellent games this week. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be all good games.
Absolutely. So let's get us rocking and rolling here. We'll start with the Texans and the Ravens. The Ravens off the bye are 9.5-point favorites over the Texans. What's your feel for this game, Joe?
Yeah, my feel is I like the Ravens to win, but I like the Texans to cover. I think the line is too high. 9.5, it's the playoffs, so sometimes these lines trick you. It just seems like a lot. I watch the Ravens with my 2 touchdowns, but the Texans, we both picked the Browns last week, and I picked the Browns to go to the Super Bowl, which was a bad pick, obviously. But C.J. Stroud, he just keeps showing you that he's ready for the moment. He's basically played 2 playoff games the last 2 weeks. The Week 18 game in Indianapolis was a winner get in, so that was kind of like a playoff game. Last week he looked great. The Ravens, the starters haven't played since Week 17, so they might be a little rusty. And when the spread is that high, if it's the low scoring first half, that could come into play. I think the Ravens are too complete. The defense has been great this year. Lamar Jackson's a more complete player now. But 4 years ago, same situation. They were the 1 seed, Divisional Round. I think they were 10-point favorite, and they lost 28-12 to Tennessee. So it's not out of the question for this to be a nail biter here. And the Texans, they have something going here. They have a little mojo. So I think 9.5 is way too many points. So I'll take them to cover. But I think the Ravens get into that rhythm and do enough to win. So I have it Baltimore 30, Houston 24.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to be on the Texans as well in this one, and I think Baltimore could be on upset alert this week. Now, it's going to be tough, but for me, it's very rare that you see all 4 home teams win in the divisional round. I feel like you always get upsets, and these are always really great games. But for the Texans, they had a big test last week against a really, really good defense in Cleveland. And I know there are a couple pick sixes in it, but even including the pick sixes, it was 31 points that the Texans put up on, arguably one of the best defenses in football. And Baltimore has that good defense. So another tough test this week. But a point that you brought up that I think is going to play a big factor in this is it's been a long time since the Baltimore Ravens have played their starters. Week 17, didn't get any action in Week 18, had the bye. So I think the rust factor is absolutely going to come in here. And you know what? I think I will. I'll go the Texans with the outright upset, 27-24. I think it'll be a great game. But like I said, I think it's very tough to see all 4 of these home teams winning. I think there'll be an upset. And if I had to pick one of them, I think the Texans have the best shot with the young rookie quarterback coming out there slinging the rock.
This should be your best. This should have been your best bet then.
I guess it should have been. All right, let's hop to the Packers and 49ers, a classic NFC matchup. The 49ers are favored by 9.5 points. What's your play in this one, Joe?
Yeah, same feel for the other game. I like the underdog to cover, but the home team to win. I think the Niners just have too much talent on both sides of the ball, and I think they'll win, but I think it's going to be a close game. I have a 34-31 49ers. I think the Packers, youngest team to win a playoff game since the 1970 merger, like an average age of like 25. Jordan Love coming out party last week. I think they're going to be in this game the whole way, and they just crushed Dallas. I saw someone comment on like one of those Facebook things. 48-32 was a close game. It was 41-16. Dallas is ever in that game. And, Green Bay, they always seem to play tight games, the 49ers. A couple years ago, the 49ers were the underdog and they won 13-10 in the snow. But I just think that the Packers are playing with house money. One of these young teams, all the pressure's on the Niners. It's similar to the Texans-Ravens game. But in the end, I think the Niners just have too much talent. I was editing a story last night at work, and one of the Packers defensive linemen said that, they saw the tape of the Ravens game, and as long as you get pressure on Purdy, you can force him into turnovers. And I'm sure that's true and all, but I think he'll be ready. Last year was his first year experiencing it, and then he had the injury in the title game. But I think the Niners are on a mission here. Cowboys and Eagles are both out. Not that they looked like big threats last week, but, a few weeks ago we would have thought the only teams that could beat San Francisco were Philly or Dallas. now it looks like it might be Detroit. So I'm going to stick with the Niners to win. I picked them. We both picked them to win the Super Bowl last week. I'm pretty sure you picked them too, yeah. But I just think Green Bay, the way Jordan Love is playing, there's 21 touchdowns to one interception over the last 9 games, 21-1, and they were 7-2 in those games. And I feel like sometimes a team has a great win like that, and the next week they lay an egg. But I don't see it. I think this Packers team is hungry and young and house money. So I think that's going to be an up and down game, back and forth. So I'll take the points.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to take the 49ers in this one, and it's something that I said last week and obviously was totally wrong about. I said that I thought Dallas was a bad matchup for the Packers. I think the 49ers are a bad matchup for the Packers in this one. Impressive showing from Jordan Love in that game, and as you mentioned, over the last really month or plus or so, he's been really, really good. But the 49ers... in this one, I think are going to really rely on and lean on Christian McCaffrey heavy in the run game. And the Packers' run defense is one of their weaker points. They've done really well against the pass. Obviously, they picked off Dak Prescott a couple times in that game. But I think the 49ers are going to come in with this game plan where they're not going to allow Purdy to make that mistake. Their entire offense is pretty much just get the ball into their playmakers' hands. And, McCaffrey's had... an unbelievable season running the ball, the best running back in the league this year. I think they lean on him and try to play keep away from Jordan Love. So I think it's close for a while. And then the 49ers pull away in the fourth quarter, like a 30-17 game. It's a one-score game most of the way, but then you get maybe another score there from the 49ers at the end. But, yeah, I mean, you got to give credit to Jordan Love and the Packers. They started slow. Were they 2-5 to start their season and then find themselves in a playoff spot and a big win on the road in Dallas. That's impressive. But I just think the 49ers are going to be too tough a matchup. So I'll take the points, even though given the 9.5 rather, it's a big number, but I'm gonna do it. So. Yep. All right, let's get to the Sunday slate. Another couple of good games here. Lions and Bucks are first. Lions 6.5-point favorites at home. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions. They were my pick before the year to make the Super Bowl. I'm always saying that. And the Chiefs Lions looks like it might happen now, but. I guess underestimating the Bucks again every week seems to underestimate the Bucks. But I think last week's loss was more about last week's win was equally as much about the Eagles just collapsing and missed tackles galore, and it doesn't seem like they were wanting to be there. Like I don't know what's going on with Sirianni, and Nick Sirianni, the coach in that situation. But the Eagles just totally the way they fell apart the last 6 weeks. So. Give the Bucks credit for winning. They crushed them. Baker Mayfield's a great story. A career high 28 touchdowns this year. One of the defensive backs on the Lions was already talking trash about him, so I don't like that. But at the same time, I think Detroit is just too good at home. They went 6-2 during the regular season. They won last week, and I think last week that was the only close game, 24-23. Everything else was a two score or more game. But I think this might be the opposite this week. I think we'll get 3 close games, and then Detroit wins by a couple touchdowns. They beat them earlier in the year, 20-6 at Tampa Bay. Jared Goff had 353 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think when it comes down to it, Detroit just has too many weapons. I don't think the letdown factor is in play here. I think this team is hungry. You see the locker room with Dan Campbell. These guys are, totally bought into his system, and I think his aggressive nature against Todd Bowles' conservative approach could be a factor here as well. And I think the Bucs will hang around for first 3 quarters or so, but I think Detroit pulls away with maybe a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter or 10 points, and they win the game. I got 30-16.
Okay. There you go. I'm going to take the Lions as well, and they're my best bet this week. I really like them in this spot going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, granted, credit to Tampa Bay. They put a beat down 32-9 on Philadelphia, but as you mentioned, I think that was kind of more just a point to Philadelphia's struggles at the tail end of the year. And, defensively, Philadelphia was playing really, really bad, and they struggled to do anything on offense the last little bit. So with the high-powered offense that the Lions put out there, I think it's going to be a game where they're going to need Baker Mayfield to throw to keep them, or to get them back into a game. And I don't think that's their recipe for success. In this last game up against, when they went against Philadelphia, they jumped out to an early lead and they played from ahead and they let their defense pin their ears back and just go and get after Jalen Hurts and company. And that worked really well. But I don't think that's going to be the forecast for this game in the Dome in the Lions. I think the Lions come out, going nuts. The stadium was absolutely electric against the Rams last week. I think you get that same kind of strong atmosphere, and I'm with you. I think this one could end up being a blowout game here, unfortunately. So I'll go 34-14, a 20-point win at home for the Detroit Lions. I just think tough spot, and also a good point to mention that you brought up as well, the vast difference in coaching styles between these two teams. The Lions, fast, aggressive. The Bucs are more, conservative, defensive-minded, and I just don't like the matchup for them going on the road. Last one, we got the Bills and the Chiefs, maybe the best for last. The Bills are slight favorites, 2.5-point favorites at home. Who do you like here in this one?
Yeah, it's the best game of the week, and seems to always be the best game of the playoffs when these teams meet. I think it's going to be a great one. Going into the playoffs, my biggest storyline for me was Patrick Mahomes' first road game. He's never played in a road game in his playoff career, which was amazing because this will be his 16th start, 12 games at Arrowhead and 3 games in the Super Bowl. And, that one game at Tampa Bay was technically a road game, because Tampa Bay was home, but it's not. In my opinion, it was still a neutral site game because, Super Bowl, so many people there. But it's just amazing to me that this is his first road game. And the issue I have with the Bills here is that, they've been playing great. They were 6-6, and they beat Kansas City in Week 14 to get to 7-6, and that was the game where Kadarius Toney was offside.
Yep.
And it negated the great Travis Kelce play, and then Mahomes was irate for the last 5 minutes. I wrote in my column, he even brought it up to Josh Allen at midfield. He was so upset, which I thought was ridiculous, and he was complaining because, the Chiefs get more calls than anyone.
True. But
I just have a feeling like, to me, it feels like it's Buffalo's year, right? It feels like, Buffalo, they beat the Steelers, 2 days after the snow, and then the way they've been playing, they're getting hot, kind of like the underdog mentality, which, they used to have with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and those great teams from the 90s that never won it all. But I just don't like, I didn't like maybe I'm making too much of it, but the fact that they were like almost giddy that the Chiefs were playing in their building, like, yeah, we finally got the Chiefs in our building, blah, blah, blah. I mean, be careful what you wish for, guys. Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, Travis Kelce. Offense hasn't been great this year, so I get it, and I've been down on them. I picked, for some silly reason, I picked the Dolphins to win last week. I have no idea why, but I blame Hard Knocks. But I just have a feeling the Chiefs are going to win this game again. I just more heartbreak for Buffalo. I feel like Josh Allen's if Josh Allen doesn't turn the ball over, I think that the Bills win the game, but the Chiefs' defense has been elite all year, and people don't talk about it enough. And KC's, winning pedigree, their experience, Mahomes always finds a way in these games. And it's, it's still hard to believe the Bills didn't win that game a couple years ago, 42-36, lost in overtime. They were up 36-33 with 13 seconds left, and Chiefs still got to overtime. So they always seem to find a way. And I'm not picking against them. I pick, whenever I pick against them, it doesn't work out. And I just think the Chiefs are. It's weird to see them in like an underdog spot. I feel like no one's picking them, and I'm going with them. Chiefs best bet overtime 23-20.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna go with the Bills, but I think this is a game that it wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs won for those reasons. So this is not my best bet. This is the one I don't have the most confidence in of the four. But breaking it down, Bills got them in the regular season. It's tough to beat a team twice, but they've just been so incredibly hot ever since they switched offensive coordinators going to Joe Brady. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. Their one loss was a crazy 37-34 overtime game on the road in Philadelphia. And pretty much ever since then, the offense has been great. They beat up on Pittsburgh a little bit, and they let them back in that game, which was a little frustrating or nerve-wracking for someone who had the Bills laying the big number. But in this one, I do think it matters that they're getting them at home for the first time. I agree with you. I don't love that they seem maybe a little too overconfident with this one, but I'm going to ride the hot hand here. I just, how they finished this season with that win streak and how they played, at home against Pittsburgh. It's going to be another snowy one. They're going to have the fans digging it out again. I think the atmosphere is going to be unbelievable. Could the Chiefs win it? Absolutely, but that offense just hasn't been right all year. They beat up on Miami in the cold weather. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it against the Buffalo Bills in their building. So I'm going to take the Bills here, but I think this is the best game of the weekend. I'll go 33-30. A late Bills field goal is the difference.
All right. I said best bet, right? The Chiefs?
Yep, you said best bet. So there you go.
I think it's going to be more lower scoring than that. 23-20. Okay.
Perfect. There we go. All right, so we'll run through these real quick. Just 4 games, but both Joe and I are on the Texans plus 9.5. I'm going to say the Texans outright upset the Baltimore Ravens. 49ers and Packers, I'm on the Niners. Joe is on the Packers. Lions are my best bet. Joe is also on the Lions minus 6.5. And Bills and Chiefs. Joe's best bet, the Chiefs plus 2.5, and I'm going with the Bills minus 2.5. Joe, appreciate it as always, and enjoy the games this weekend.
All right, Matt. Enjoy the game. Should be good. Thanks.